Job security in its most traditional sense, meaning that there is this one job or this company or this employer that can secure a job for you for your whole life and secure an income, unfortunately doesn't exist. But the good news is that you can create job security for yourself. And that is exactly what I want to talk about today. Today I want to share with you 5 ways or 5 things that you can do in order to have job security. And stick with me to the end, because number 4 and number 5 will be the most important things that you will have to do. By the way, in case you're new to this channel, I make videos on career change and multiple careers. And one of my goals is that I want to help and support people to have the courage and go after the career that they really want to have. Now let's get right into it. Here are 5 ways of how you can have job security. Number 1 is look for the kind of jobs where the demand is greater than the supply in the future. So not only at the current moment, but especially in 3 to 5 years from now. And to do that, you need to find out about the things that happen in the industry, the developments in the economy, and also technology. While there are many people who talk about the loss of jobs that will result from automation and AI, at the same time, in the next 5, 10 years and so on, there will also be a lot of new jobs created, new kind of jobs that don't exist now. For example, psychotherapists for online entrepreneurs. I'm not sure if that particular job exists right now, but even if it does, it's not as big as a thing yet. Another kind of job that I could really imagine hitting it off in the future is something like a robots trainer. There will be increasingly more robots that will be taking over certain jobs in the future, but someone will need to train them and maintain them, right? So try to find out more about a specific area that you are interested in and try to find out what is likely to happen in the next 5 to 10 years in that area, in that industry, and try to prepare yourself specifically toward that. The second way to have job security is to always be among the top performer. Let's say the 5% or even better the 2% in your company or in your area. So however your performance is being evaluated, always be among the top achievers. If you're a salesperson, be the top salesperson in your company. If you're a marketing manager, be a thought leader in that area. So no matter what happens to your company or to your job, you will always find yourself in a secure position. If a company starts laying off people for whatever reasons, let's say because of the economy, they are very likely to retain their top performers. And even if their top performers get laid off too, then you will always be in a very hireable position. So if you lose one job, you can easily find another job in no time. And the third way to have job security requires a paradigm shift. Number 3 is to create your own opportunities instead of relying on a certain companies. And what this means is that you need to try and identify what kind of need might exist in the market in the future, 3, 5, 10 years from now, and create a solution for that particular need. In other words, you create your own niche. You create your own job opportunity and thereby job security. As I said earlier, most people rely on their company or on their job function. They look for job opportunities and career development within the confines of a certain company or within certain companies. Let's take, for example, the market for products and services for the elderly people. People are getting older and older, and in most of the Western and developed world, the demographic pyramid is upside down, meaning that there are many more people within the retirement age compared to those people in the productive age range. And what this means is that in 10 to 20 years from now, there will be a dramatic increase in demand for products and services for this particular segment. Increasingly trending, especially in Europe, is what's called intergenerational living, which means that within the same house or the same building, several families of different generations live together, but they are not related to each other. But by doing that, everyone can benefit from the other's strengths. I could imagine that in future there could be a job such as an intergenerational living together consultant. So this is just an example, but you can imagine that there are so many needs right now in the market and in the future that are not served yet, and you can be the solution to that. You can create your own job opportunity and maybe even job opportunities for other people. By the way, this is a question for you. Have you thought about how you can have job security in the future? What kind of ideas do you have for this? I'm really curious to know. Please let me know in the comments below. The fourth way to have job security in the future is to have a very specific skill set that gives you an edge over other people in the market. For example, if you're a graphic designer, don't be a generic graphic designer, meaning that you do all the things that all the other graphic designers do and offer the exact same products and services. What you could do instead is, for example, specialize on something really interesting. For example, if you happen to be someone who is really interested in the 80s, then you could be a graphic designer who specializes on designs of the 1980s. I think this is something that would really have a good prospect, because going forward into the future, there will be an increasing need, an increasing desire for nostalgia. Have you ever experienced your parents getting very nostalgic and talking about the earlier times, or your grandparents talking about how it was in the 40s or the 50s, how they would dress, what they would eat, etc.? The same thing will happen to our generation, the millennial generation, Y and Z. In 10 to 20 years from now, the 80s or even 90s will be a decade that we reminisce and that maybe we even romanticize. So if you were a graphic designer who specialized on that specific decade, you would be someone who would have a very specific skill set that other designers would not have, and that would give you an edge. Or let's say you're an accountant. Don't just be a generic accountant. Be, for example, an accountant who has a background in filmmaking. So you could work as a production accountant. So if you're an accountant and you have a background in film production, and in addition to that, you even master 3 languages, let's say French, English, and Chinese, that's a really unique combination, then you really have a competitive edge. The fifth way to have job security in the future, and this is, I think, the most important of all, is to develop career flexibility. And this means to be aware that changing your career, adapting your career might not be a one-time thing in your life. You have to be constantly aware of the changes taking place around you in the industry, in the economy, and try to adapt to that. And that means that you have to be constantly learning new things, developing new skills, acquiring new experiences. This means that no matter what happens in the industry, no matter if you lose this one job or that job, you will be always able to quickly adapt and always get back on your feet quickly and go on to the next job. And there is one skill that is extremely important if you want to be flexible in your career development, and that is the skill of job hunting. And this, among others, includes things like making sure that your resume is always up to date, that you have a certain online presence or branding, your interviewing skills, and also networking skills, meaning that if the time comes and you need a job, you will have a network in place and relationships in place, which will help you to get to the next job. The problem that I see nowadays with a lot of fresh graduates as well as career changers is that they are very company focused, meaning that they look to companies and to employers to secure their future for them. And many people make their career development and also income prospects dependent on a certain company. But I want to challenge you to change your mindset from a more, let's say, company-centric perspective to focus more on developing your productive assets. Your productive assets are all the intangible things, meaning your skills, your experience, your capabilities, and your knowledge that supports your work and your career, that can boost your income as well as your career prospects. So if there's anything I want you to take away from this, is that job security is not something that is given to you. It is not something that the company owes you or the government gives to you, but job security is a mindset. It is something that you need to develop and secure for yourself by implementing these 5 things, or at least some of these 5. I hope you enjoyed this video and that it was useful to you. As always, I thank you so much for watching, especially to those of you who stuck with me to the end. I wish you an awesome day, all the best for your career and career development, and I hope to see you again soon.